Very good afternoon, friends. In yesterday's video, we had discussed in detail the various important recommendations of the 53rd GST Council meeting. In this video, we would discuss threadbare in detail two important recommendations for waiver and for relaxation. First, we will discuss on the waiver or amnesty scheme under section 128 capital A, which would be notified. So the scheme is that in case you have an order or a demand under section 73, not section 74, for financial year 17-18, 18-19 and 19-20. In such cases, in case you pay off the tax amount by 31st of March 2025, then the interest and penalty would be waived off. Please note that this would be apropos the new section 128 capital A, which in our understanding, based on the procedure to be followed for notifications, would not be issued before October or November 2024, and that is why the sunset clause for this new scheme is 31st of March 2025. However, the taxpayers should prepare for all the orders and demands either under adjudication or under appeal under section 73 applicable on a pan-India basis. It must be noted that even in case you are under appeal, the scheme should apply because the appellate authority under 107 of the CGST Act cannot remand back the cases and would have to decide such cases also. Very important to note is in case you have an order or a demand under section 73 on say 5 cases, whether you can get a waiver on only 1 or 2 of such issues and balance you can contest or not. This would be further clear on the notification being issued. Again, very important is that for interest and penalty waiver, the tax needs to be paid by 31st of March 2025. What happens in a case wherein at the order or the demand stage earlier to today's date, you had already paid off the tax amount? There can be two situations. Number one, when you had paid off the tax and in some cases interest and penalty also by admitting the same. In our view, subject to the notification being issued, such amount which was admitted and paid may not be refunded back going forward. However, in case you had paid off the tax under protest, then it is to be seen whether the interest and penalty would be waived off under section 128A in this scheme when notified by merely appropriating such tax paid under protest via this scheme. Important to note again is that any refund cases, there are many refund cases say under rule 9610 or any other section or rule wherein the refund was paid by the government to the taxpayers and thereafter there was an issue. Refund cases would not be covered under this scheme. Therefore, the taxpayers should first up prepare a list of all the cases and be ready before the notification is out, so that once the scheme is out, they can get rid of the litigations which can be engulfed in such scheme. The second very important relaxation is a recommendation for amendment of section 16 subsection 4 for time barring limitation for taking input tax credit, which was the return filing time for September of the next year earlier, and now it is 30th of November of the next year. It has been recommended that for again the same 3 financial years, 17-18, 18-19 and 19-20, the time barring period for taking input tax credit would be 30th of November 2021. However, in case the GSTIN was suspended and thereafter revoked after say 30th of November 2021, in such cases the time barring would be 1 month after the GSTIN was revoked. Therefore, practically the time barring period for these 3 years is 30th of 11/2021 along with financial year 2020-21, where the time barring period is 30th of November 2021 as it is. 3 important things to be noted in this scheme. Number 1, this is not an amnesty scheme. It is a retrospective of amendment to section 16 subsection 4. Therefore, in case the tax, interest or penalty or all have been already admitted and paid, there can be a question of a refund subject to how and in which form the amendment is notified under 16 subsection 4. Again, this amendment to the Act would be notified not before October or November 2024 as per our understanding in earlier amendments under the Act. Next, very important is that there are various cases where tax officers have denied input tax credit on imports under bill of entries by considering the time barring period under 16(4) for imports too, whereas 16(4) is not applicable in case of input tax credit taken via bill of entries. Such cases may not be settled by this scheme. They need to be contested also going forward under the current 16(4) as it stands today. There were also cases for debit notes by which the input tax credit were taken. Such cases may also be settled under this scheme. And most important is the time barring period for input tax credit on RCM payments for purchase of goods or services from unregistered taxpayers or unregistered dealers. In such cases, under section 31 subsection 3 clause F of the CGST Act, the tax invoice in the form of a self invoice needs to be made, and therefore the recommendation is that the time barring period would be calculated from the date on which the self invoice is made. So, in case you had forgotten to pay the RCM on an unregistered party in 2017-18, the same can be paid now and input tax credit can be taken. This is a big relief and a big recommendation which would put to rest litigation. However, here too there is an issue. What about interest? Whether under time of supply provisions of section 13 of the CGST Act can interest be demanded on such RCM payment? Input tax credit can be taken, but can interest be demanded? In our view, the Honorable Apex Court judgment in the case of Jet Airways in the service tax regime would apply, and this issue may be contested on revenue neutrality. The biggest achievement of this recommendation is that in case of RCM payable on expat salary, that is applying the Northern Operating System judgment under service tax to GST. In such cases, in case you pay off the tax by making an self invoice, then the case under GST for Northern Operating Systems issue should be settled as we see it now. However, these are recommendations. We wait for the fine prints to come out for further deliberations in this regard. Once the fine prints are out, we would come out with a detailed session on all the recommendations and all the notifications and circulars issued. Please do like, subscribe and share this channel. Stay tuned. Thank you very much.